All right, I got a cross versus battle for you guys today, and it is the four current admirals in One Piece. That's Green Bull, Fujitora, Akainu, and Kizaru versus the first four Hokage: Hashirama, Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Minato, all in their alive form. So Minato don't have the Nine Tails in it. They have all their other skills, right? They're not Edo Tensei, right? There'll be two scenarios for it. In the first scenario, they'll fight in one piece, and they'll be at Hachinosu, all right? In Naruto, they'll be at the final valley, all right? We'll just keep it like that. So in the first scenario, strength, physical strength, I got that shit going to the Admirals. They're strong, brother. They have that kind of lifting and striking ability that those shinobi just don't got. And it's crazy for some people because they're like, Hashirama and Tobirama, they're beasts. Like, these guys are all beasts too. I like that. As a group, they're just physically stronger. They got Hiruzen and Minato holding them back in physical strength category. But you could make the argument that Minato has Sage Mode, but that's still not enough. Speed, I'm giving that shit to the Hokages. They're just quicker, more agile. They're able to react to, their attacks and dodge some of them. Because guess what? The Admirals aren't slow either. They got the fastest person on this field. Out of all 8 people, it's Kizaru. You know, the whole thing about, flying Rajin Jutsu, they have kunai stash places, but he can be there before they get there. He can actually attack them too. Kizaru got them there, but as a group, I give it to the Hokages, even though Kizaru's the fastest one on the team, so I'll give them that, right? As a group, they're faster, right? One man can't, and he can carry, but he's faster than all of them. But then the other three admirals are not faster than the Hokages, right? They're not like significantly slower. They ain't significantly slower, but they ain't, moving like them, right? But that gets to durability. Durability goes to the admirals. They're made of elements, right? Most of them. Now, Fujitora is the one that's not. And he's actually the least durable out of all of them. Because he can get hit. But remember also, all the admirals have armament haki. And observation haki. All of them do. And then Akainu may have Conqueror's haki, right? So we got all of them with that. That's defense, right? That's tough skin, right? That means it's hard to damage them. Hokages, they get hit, they're gonna feel that. The only person who, and he ain't even a tank. It's other things. We'll get to that in a minute. Endurance, we're gonna go with the admirals here. Like, before you get crazy on me and Hashirama this and that, those niggas didn't fight like that. They fought for a day or two, and then they went back to what they were doing, came back another day and fought again. Now, Akainu fought Aokiji on Pankazur for 10 days straight, and he's the one basically leading his group against Hashirama's group. If it comes down to those two fighting each other, and other things, man, and it's true. But Akainu's a top 10 character in One Piece, so. And since I got their verses like on similar levels, both planetary at their like strongest, right? That guy you know, the Admirals got him beat with the endurance point. Intelligence goes to the Hokage, though. See, the Marines are structured and they have to work together, and they're smart. You know, they didn't get to their position by being idiots, but it's also like limited, kind of like you don't think for yourself. See, a Hokage, see, they can think for themselves a bit more, right? Because they have information coming to them too, but then they get to make the decision on what should, happen and whatnot. I'm not saying the Admirals are dumb as a group. They're actually smart. But I think the Hokage got it because they can think for themselves, and then also they can work together amongst each other. Give, details as needed, to each other, and then they can come up with, techniques. Um, Intelligence goes to them. Experience also goes to them. You know, Old Man Hashirama and Tobirama, they ain't getting brought back to life. They're just in their life forms, all right? Don't ask how, that's just how it's going to be. And then Hiruzen's also an old man who has all that, wisdom. Now, these admirals are all old too, all of them are over 50. Or these ones. Well, maybe not Aramaki, but, well, we have to, and then, Minato's only like 20 something, but, I got the Hokage with that. And then, like, the admirals, they all joined the Marines in their, like, late 20s and shit, right? Before that, they were, like, doing other things. They weren't like that, right? But these ninjas were, like, doing that shit since they were, like, children, right? So they got close skills, we're going to give that to the Hokage. And that one was kind of close, too. But I give the range skills to the fucking Admiral because they can, like, Akahinu and, oh my god, Akahinu and Fujitora can, like, bring down meteorites from the sky in multiple. It ain't like one can come down. They can, oh my god, oh shit. They're controlling the area of that battle, man. They're controlling the landscape. I ain't even there yet, man. Recoup goes to, I'll give it to their team. I do believe Hashirama has better regeneration ability than the Admirals do. Because, like, this is the thing, right? If the Hokage come up with plans, right? Each person's made of something, right? Well, minus Fujitora. They could actually damage Fujitora if they get close up to him and they, like, start, like, boxing with him and shit. But Aramaki, you need to put Saratobi in his fire jutsu bag. And he's naturally a fire jutsu user. Like, that's his first element. Or his first, nature that he was using from a young age, right? Naturally, he was a fire user. The Saratobi can use fire. Boom, he hits Aramaki with that a couple times. And the key here is, and this is why I give the regen to Hashirama, it's more of like an internal thing, right? Because, and like his body and stuff, right? Not like a devil fruit thing and shit, right? Because, like, Aramaki, right, he does get burnt, but then he drops a little seed in the ground. But see, if you burn that seed, he can't come back. That's why you have to have, Saratobi on his fire jutsu shit, because none of the other Hokage use that shit. You can't have him just using all of those other fucking jutsus. He has to be prioritized for fire-based abilities. If they ain't doing that, though, they'll probably lose. Hacks, though, I give it to the Admirals, too. They have both types of hockey, and then arguably for, Hakainu, he might have Conqueror's hockey. That ain't confirmed yet, but, I wouldn't, I'm probably one that thinks he does. Like, based off of what I've seen and other things, I'm like, yeah, this guy has it. Environment, for the first scenario, since it's in One Piece, is going to go to the Hokage, because they can, if they work together, can knock these guys off into the ocean, and that does give them a win con, right? Because there's ocean surrounding Hashinosu and shit. They kick them, like, they go after them, like, in one by one, all four of them, boom, 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 and they kick them into the sea, but they'll figure that shit out. So I still got the Admirals winning high diff. Now in the next scenario, that's gonna be in the final valley. That's not an ocean, that's a river. They ain't worried about that. Like that's just not affecting them at all. The Admirals. You know, Naruto fans can bitch about it in the comments, and that's fine. But strength goes to the Admirals. Admirals got the physical strength. Speed goes to the Hokage. As a group, they're faster than them. That's what we did there, right? And I understand One Piece fans that Kizaru's faster than everybody on that field. But as a group, they're just faster than the Admirals. The Admirals are slightly slower. We got durability going to the Admirals. The Admirals are tanks, you know, and if they ain't doing what I said in the last scenario, where they're okay, they got Saratobi Hiruzen hitting Aramaki with fire, right? They got like they're trying to confine Kizaru basically. That's how they're gonna, get him, right? Using like Earth style and other things, right? They'll probably need Hashirama for that. Hashirama for that one. Because he's faster than Minato. We know that. But Hashirama's also like their strongest guy. But Tobirama actually has water, so he could fight against Akainu. You know, and that's getting their devil fruits, negated to some degree, right? Because that's how you fight Logias if you don't have hockey, right? You use the element that's in their opposition to turn off their devil fruit. And that's how they would have to go by this, right? Durability, though, goes to the Admirals still. Because they would have to, fight for a while to figure that shit out. And by then, I think it would be too late because they also have endurance over the Hokage. But the Hokage, they're probably, smarter. Each of these men can think for themselves, as opposed to, people that get orders barked at them and they're told to think a certain way. Now, thinking in these terms, it don't mean that they're not effective at fighting. That's not what I'm saying. It's just like their minds are more flexible over there with the Hokage. And it's like you could give that to the Admirals if you wanted to, man. Experience, though, I give that shit to the Hokages. Like these these guys have been fighting like as ninjas since they were like kids, man. These Admirals didn't even go into the Marines until they were in their 20s. So we got them winning that category. Close skills, we're going to give it to the Hokages. Range skills, we're giving that shit to the Admirals. Like I said earlier, like Akahinu and even Kizaru, he has long range abilities. He can hit him with, light from a distance. Boom, boom, and he's destroying this laser beams. Bam, 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 just destroying shit. And yeah, it'll be a struggle between Hashirama and Aramaki because he can control the woods, right? But like Hashirama summons wood too, so it's like a struggle. Recoup goes to the Hokage. Like I said before, it's more of an internal thing with Hashirama. He's a guy, his body works like that. He has the healing jutsu, right? Which will help him stay in the fight longer, right? And Aramaki, if the Hokage do what I suggested, they could actually get rid of him, right? Even in this situation where, and I'm getting to that point, hacks go to the Admirals. They have both types of hockey, and Akainu is rumored to have the Conqueror's hockey. If you think so, that's fine. If you don't, he still has both types of the other hockey, and that shit's maxed out. And then they have their devil fruits too. No ocean to worry about. They're fighting on mostly land, so they're fighting on a continent, so they'll be all right. That's why the environment goes to the Admirals, and then they have all those range skills. They can just rain on them. Their close skills ain't too shabby, but as a group, I think the Hokage's got it. But when it comes down to the second scenario, overall, this fight is going to go to the Admirals. High difficulty. Be cool on the corner and let me know what you think. Like I said, it's a live Minato, so you don't have the Nine Tails chakra. And that does, change shit. Um, you know, Hiruzen is a like he's key, like because like if you use him right, he can get rid of Aramaku. But if he's not using his fire-based abilities, he's not gonna like. They're gonna he's gonna get packed up first. All right. And then Toby Rama has the Flying Rajin too, but then Kizuru, he can move around. He's faster than both of them, by the way. Like it don't matter. Like tags, he can get to those tags before they even get there. And especially if he uses Future Sight too, and his observation hockey, man, he's fucking these guys. Like he's getting him using other jutsus, not just that, right? That kind of thing. They'll still be using it against the other guys. Now, Akahinu versus Hashirama, that's going to be a long, drawn-out fight, but I know Akahinu's winning that shit, man. 10 days versus a guy who's been around for, we'll say 5 days max. This nigga was not running for, 10 days straight in a fight, so. The Admirals win this shit high difficulty. Naruto fans, they can cry about it in the comments. Be cool, call in the corner. And let me know what you think about that in the comments, y'all.